What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Wide Receiver Academy Film Room. Today, we're breaking down the brand new Miami Dolphins. Coach Mike McDaniel, Tua, Jaylen, Waddle, Tyreek Hill, absolutely tearing it up right now. We're breaking down their comeback win against the Ravens in Week 2 of the 2022 season. Check it out. Really hope you guys enjoy. Okay, here we go. We got Miami Dolphins against the Baltimore Ravens. This is from Week 2 of the 2022 season. Just an unbelievable game from the Dolphins. They were down 21 at one point, ended up having an unbelievable second half, just spearheaded by the great play of Tua. A lot of people were kind of down on Tua heading into the season. Really weren't sure about the Dolphins' future with him or his future with the Dolphins and the Dolphins' future quarterback situation. But they went out and they got Jaylen Waddle and they got Tyreek Hill. And in my opinion, that changed everything. Just those two guys at receiver. Obviously, Mike Gesicki's a really good tight end as well. But between those three guys, it completely changed Tua's path on how he's playing and his future with the Dolphins. Now, listen to some of these stats, okay? Tyreek Hill in this game, 11 catches, 190 yards, 2 touchdowns on 13 targets. So he had 13 targets, 11 of those were catches for 190 and 2 touchdowns. Waddle, 11 catches, 171 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And he had that on 19 targets. Okay, so 32 targets to Waddle and Hill, 22 were catches, close to 400 yards of receiving and 4 touchdowns for those guys, putting up 42 points on the Ravens. And again, a lot of this was done in the second half, fourth quarter in particular. It was 28-7 at halftime. Ravens were winning, and the Dolphins took off. They had 35 points in the second half, 28 of those in the fourth quarter. Again, just strung together an unbelievable comeback, and we're going to talk about how they did it. All right, Jaylen Waddle, Tyreek Hill, Tua, Mike Gesicki. I love the matchup on paper that they have here. I'm not a huge believer in the Ravens secondary. I think they do some good things. You're going to see on here that they give up a lot of big plays. Okay, and I know that is due to just how fast Waddle and Hill are. They're going to create issues all over the field. But again, when you have that 21-point lead, you got to do what's best to preserve it and come away with a win. Okay, so let's get into it a little bit. Okay, the first play, and we just cut up the second half here. So we're going to watch the first play. Tyreek Hill, just a little quick screen. 2 different ways you could block this as a receiver. Okay, they got Hill and Waddle both down here. We'll draw it. 2 different ways you could block this. What you're supposed to be taught is most dangerous man. So in this situation, he has this overhang linebacker here. It looks like just more of a nickel. I can't see the number on him. But typically that's where the block would be. Now this is a long block to hold. Okay, but ideally you get your skilled receiver on a guy that doesn't tackle as well, or maybe not be able to tackle as well, which would be the corner. Okay, so he comes off of this overhang, just kind of chips him, gets a piece of him. And I think maybe the point for that as well, to get a piece of him to help the lineman trying to come out. But he sees this corner coming down fast, and he doesn't really do anything. But the idea is there. On paper, it's there. But I'd like to see him just block this overhang guy and just let Tyreek work off of the corner. Again, here, seal him off and just let Tyreek do what he does. He's 7 yards off the ball, 7 yards off the line of scrimmage is this corner. So just let him work there. Regardless, comes off. And now Tyreek has to deal with 2 guys. Still does a pretty good job. Look, number 5 doesn't want to come down and make that tackle. I think blocking that overhang gives him a little bit better of a chance. On to the next play, they're going to motion Waddle across. You're going to see some mixes and coverages here. You're going to see the Ravens check out of some things. Okay, so you're going to see the DB right here. Okay, when Waddle motions across, he checks. And I want you to keep this in mind because they do something similar to this later in the game and it ends up costing them because the guy doesn't get the check. Another screen here. Down to Hill. This time it's nice. The linemen get out in front. Makes one guy miss. They got 3 guys on 3 guys here. This looks like a touchdown for Hill. If they can hold these blocks here, you got a lot of room to work. Nice patient run. Ends up getting the first down. It's easy to not be patient on these plays just because you know how much space you have. Hill does a really good job of setting up his blocks. So you'll see, he doesn't just rush to get outside. He knows this lineman's going to over pursue the D lineman. Immediately gets back out because he knows where the flow is coming from. Now watch here. Patient. Doesn't just take the sideline. He's patient. And then he goes again. Gets just a couple extra yards and gets a first down. Looks like it may have came back for a penalty there. On to the next play. You're going to see some really impressive throws here by Tua. Motion again to a 3-by-1. They're checking again. Pretty much man coverage here. Up top. All right, let's talk about Hill's route here because he does a really nice job with it and Tua finds a good window here. He runs his route, and we call this a stem. Okay, so you'll notice how this DB here has Hill one-on-one. Okay, you'll notice how he's slightly outside of Hill. So all he's going to do, he knows he has this in-breaking route. He doesn't just want to run straight up the field. When you run straight up the field like that, all this DB is going to do is squeeze. Okay, he'll squeeze him down, stay on his hip, and easily make the play. So you're going to watch how, initially, when he comes off the ball, watch how Hill just adjusts his feet slightly to angle his route towards that DB. Now, when he angles towards that DB, the DB gets a little wider. When he widens out like that, it gives Hill all this space on the inside. If he just ran straight, he's running this route somewhere in between the hash and the numbers. It's a lot easier for this linebacker here, Queen. It's a lot easier for him to get out and defend this play. Okay, again, let's just talk about how he stems. You'll see the DB here. He starts inside the numbers here. Okay, he's about a yard or two inside the numbers where he starts. With Hill stems out, it gets him to the middle, almost the bottom of the numbers there. And that creates this big window right here for Tua to be able to make that throw. Okay, and it's a nice little concept that they're running. I really like the concept. Clear out, push wide and sink, and they're just going to run a little underneath shallow just to hold this corner here. Easy money. That's a big play after that penalty. Cut it in half. Keep the drive going. Okay, 3-by-1, they get a motion across. It's a nice little concept too here. Little play action. He's a couple different throws here. This looks like a cover 4 almost. We'll call it a cover 4. And we've talked about this before, where cover 4 can essentially turn into man. So this receiver working vertical here, he's actually going on a cross. This receiver, this pretty much when both of these guys go vertical, he's going to latch on, he's going to latch on. Down here, he's latched on, and this safety is looking for number 2 out. Okay, so another receiver coming down the field towards him. if he doesn't get anything, he's pretty much free. So he's either going to help on the inside with number 1 here, or his eyes are going across the formation and he's going to look for any type of crosser coming. Okay, now what the Dolphins do, they run this guy like he's going to come back across the field to block on a run, and then he play actions. All he's going to do is loop out. When he does go across, it freezes this linebacker. Now, because this safety doesn't see any number 2 coming out, all right, he's pretty much going to go undetected. Okay, this safety has taken his eyes out of this area here, looking for someone to pick up, and he's starting to look across the field for a crosser. And that's the important play of this design. So you'll see here, this DN tries to peel off. He's not going to be athletic or fast enough to cover this running back. But now you'll see the safety that we talked about before kind of in a panic. Like, well, that's the number 2 guy. And you see all this space. All Tua has to do is drop it over the top, which he does. And they got a big play for a first down. Again, the little designs like that, the little delay on that play action just makes that a really effective play for the Dolphins. Another screen. Don't block it well at all. Again, this is a running back out here. But just to reiterate, you won't be wrong if you block the most dangerous man. So when you come out here, again, and I talked about it before, you want to let the guys who don't tackle as well try to make the tackle. So ideally, it's one-on-one with this corner, with the guy catching the ball, and he would just be sealed off. However, when you come off, when the ball's snapped, you have to be ready for who's going to attack first. Okay, so the second he sees this, all right, he takes this one big hop up field. When he hops, that corner's just taken off, and 30's just too late to make that block. If you're unsure, pick someone and let the ball carrier be an athlete. If you're unsure, pick the most dangerous man in your mind, okay, and just let him be an athlete. But you don't want this. We'll talk about blocking in some later content because it is really important as a receiver. It's one of the things that can spring big plays for your offense if you have receivers that can block on the perimeter. Again, I know this is a running back, probably not used to that situation. Just, if unsure, pick up the most dangerous guy in your mind. Empty formation here. They try to run something we call a stick pump. Has him open here up to the boundary side, up to the top of the screen. This is a timing thing. We'll talk about this a little. It looks like just an option route in the slot here for Waddle. Okay, so he knows he's working off of this guy, and typically he just works to leverage. He could break in, he could sit, or he could break out. Okay, because he has the inside leverage on this defender here, watch how he just chops his feet. Okay, and the point of this, again, they don't need a ton of yards here. The point of this, of chopping the feet, is allowing Tua to catch the ball, catch the snap, get his feet set, and make that throw. Now, he very easily, again, assuming this is an option route, he very easily could have just sat down. So he doesn't get involved with Queen here with this linebacker. He could have just sat right down. Regardless, you got to catch the football. But if he just sits right down and just lets the timing work, Tua probably puts it right on him, and he gets a nice chunk of yards back. One thing we'll talk about here is jumping on a catch and why it makes a big deal. So it's hard to see from this angle. However, when the ball is coming towards you, your perception of that football might be right now. So it looks like it's at eye level with Waddle, right? When you jump at the last second, it changes the perception of the ball. So where you are in space, let's say that ball is eye level. Now when you jump, that ball drops to maybe stomach or low chest level. So it changes your hand positioning. If he just stays put, you see how his hands are ready to make this catch with his hands up, right in his face mask. When he jumps, he has to change his hand position. Okay, so now you see he has to drop his hands. Again, this is kind of a zoomed out version here. We'll see if we could get it in the end zone. But now his hand placement changes and his perception of the ball changes. And that's why he ends up dropping it. Let's see if we could get to an end zone view. I don't know if I have this on this cut up. We do. Okay, so again, ball is eye level here. His hands are up. Okay, he could easily just pluck that and just trust his hands where they are. You see his hands are ready to go, face mask level. When he jumps, that ball now becomes chest level. Okay, around his stomach area, his hand position has to change, and his perception, how he sees that ball, what level that ball is on, completely changes. And that's why he drops that football. I don't mind guys that use their body to catch the football either. If you have to use your body to make a play, I think using the hands is important. You have to have good hands, obviously, to play receiver. However, in a combat situation, if you have to use your body, if that's the most comfortable way and most natural way that you're going to catch the football, do so. Just make the catch. I've never seen a 10-yard gain on an important play. Guy makes a catch and the coach complains that he used his body to make the catch. Just make the catch. 10 yards is 10 yards. However you would naturally catch the football, your natural reaction, use it and make the play. Regardless, has to be caught. Okay, ball's on the 9-yard line, third down, and half of the distance that they were at. Would have been a big play for him. 2x2 here. It's kind of a Tampa 2 look. It's not a true Tampa 2, but Ravens know that the Dolphins basically need to score here. I don't know how you mess this up, but here we are. And the throw is incredible. But in Tampa 2, if I'm the defense, you got this corner for half the field, this safety up top, half the field, this safety, half the field. Now you have this deep linebacker here that's supposed to have the middle of the field. And again, all he has to do is get a little bit deeper into the middle of that end zone and just look for anyone trying to get over top of him. Because underneath, they got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys underneath. Okay, and 3 over top. This should be a very easy play to make. Just don't give up a touchdown. Make them kick the field goal. Again, it's a game-changing situation play. Gesicki runs a nice route. He knows that he's going to work the middle of the field here. He just wraps. And look at this throw by Tua. Doesn't get any better than this. Right onto the end line. Easy money on 3rd and long. I wish I had the gritty video here. Maybe we'll get it on the end zone view. Gesicki does a nice job of just moving into the back line there. Okay, he's a big target. It's an easier throw for Tua because he is big, but he just keeps himself available, just keeps moving, understands that the middle of the field in cover 2 is going to be open like that. But again, it's on the Ravens linebacker there for not getting a little bit deeper how he should have. All right, so we got a cover 3 look here. Gonna run a play action. So they got Hill running a deep cross, and all they're gonna do is bring Waddle on a deep dig. And they're basically putting this safety in a bind. When the safety rolls with this over route, the dig's just gonna work in right underneath him. You're gonna find that big window just sitting in there. It's exactly what happens. They run some window dressing up here at the top of the formation. They got the running back or number 30 fullback, whatever he is, coming out to the flat. They got Gesicki hanging into block. He leaks out. That does just enough to hold the flat defender. It does just enough to hold the deep third defender over here. So let's talk about Waddle's route. And we're going to talk about the stem. Instead of just running straight, watch how he works to number 5. He works to this corner's technique. He's not just running straight up the field. If he would run straight up the field, corner's just going to squeeze him. Okay, whenever he widens him out, he keeps him outside. Look, starts at the top of the number, now he's at the bottom of the numbers, pushes and widens him, and then he just brings it flat. He does a nice job of just rolling that inside and getting his body turned here. Watch his head start to turn. Gets the left foot in the ground. And he's just wide open in that window. Catch and go score. Moriak. That's the danger that this team creates, is having Hill, having Waddle that can put speed and take the top off of a defense. You have a cover 3 situation like this. Okay, that safety's gone. He feels threatened. And Waddle's just running right off of that corner, who's going to stay in his third. He pretty much has a wide open void in the middle of the field. All right, on to the next play. Looking for a similar situation here. It looks to me like cover 3 again. And they're trying to look to high-low this safety. I think one of the biggest issues here with this, and again, they are trying to take a shot. You're going to see this will pay off later in this film. But what they're trying to do here is take the top off here. So there's the high point on this middle safety, okay, who they're working off of. And then they're going to put a deeper cross underneath and try to work this open middle of the field here underneath this safety in cover 3. So basically, if this safety turns and runs with this deeper route down at the bottom of the screen, Tua will throw the middle cross here. If the safety bites down on this, he now has this receiver one-on-one with Peters at the bottom of the screen on pretty much just a race to the end zone. So that's kind of what the Dolphins are looking here. Play action, max protection, pretty much a 2-man combination. The safety doesn't bite. Now, I don't know how deep Waddle's supposed to be here. However, if he is a little deeper, this is a much easier throw and catch for Tua. Because now he's working into the linebackers here. So he has Queen here in the middle. He has 22, the nickel down here. So for Tua, what he's looking for and what Waddle has to be looking for is just finding anything here in a window. So he has a window here. He has a window on the outside. He realizes Queen is opening to that window, so he's just going to continue into here. Now, if there's nothing down here in the flat, so cover 3, this nickel here is pretty much defending into the flat. This guy here is defending into the flat. All right, and Queen is pretty much just on an island here. Now, in max protection here, Gesicki would probably leak out if he didn't have to help, and you'll see he's helping here. But if the tackle gets that guy on his own, okay, Gesicki would probably leak out down to the 40 here. You see the running backs leaking out here, and that would be just enough to hold 22. All right, number 22 right here. Just enough to hold him and make this a clear throw, a clear window for Waddle. Nonetheless, Waddle working, okay, doesn't like that window, makes himself available in the next. If there is something in the flat, 22 would probably be held a little bit more, so it makes it a clear catch for him. He's jumping again on the catch. This time he uses his body really well, makes the combat catch. If he slips that tackle, he's running for a touchdown. Okay, I don't think Waddle thinks about the jumping. It's kind of a natural instinct for him. Some of the ball placement is tough. As a receiver, you know that there's those weird spots where it's like, should I catch it with my hands up? Should I catch it with my hands down? Can I use my body? So it's kind of an uncomfortable spot for him. So I think that's why he does jump. Goes hands down instead. Knows that he's going to get collision. Uses his body really well. And is able to make the catch. Again, it's you don't want to jump because it changes the perception of where that ball is. But in certain situations, your body kind of just naturally reacts. And it's those uncomfortable catch points that make things a little bit weird. All right, let's talk about this play real quick. Got motion across. When you motion like that, you see a guy running with him. Looks like man. Okay, they run another motion, so he resets, run another motion across. Now all they're going to do is run a little rub play here, down at the bottom. Waddle does a really nice job of something we call a stair step. Okay, so he's patient. Watch how he gets his right foot in the ground. Watch how he repositions his feet. This isn't a false step here. He's repositioning his feet so he can push off that right leg and get across the field. Now, if Waddle simply just runs straight here, let's just say he just runs straight across from the position he's in. Okay, it's not the best line in the world here. Let's try to find a better line. Let's say he runs straight across. Peters on his hip here is just going to stick right with him. And it makes it a lot easier to cover. And all he's going to do is run to this upfield hip and just trail him. So watch how Waddle uses something we call a stair step. He uses one here. So watch how he pushes vertical. Left foot in the ground, pushes vertical. Now he gets his right foot back in to get back flat. That forces Peters up the field a little bit and doesn't allow him to stay on the hip. You'll see it again. Pushes up towards the 20. Now watch how he works back down a little bit flatter. Again, it's easy for Waddle because he's a speed guy. He's one of the faster guys in the NFL. So it's easier for him to just race to a spot. But you can see how Peters has to keep working up the field slightly just because of that little stair step. Now, Waddle has his head turned. You see how his hips are turned. That allows him to stay flat right down that 19-yard line. I'm sorry, the 21-yard line. Tua makes a nice throw, gets it out in the open for him, and just allows him to use that speed. And you'll see that angle that safety had. You see how fast Waddle is. He almost slipped another one and could have walked into the end zone there. It's a very productive play because of those stair steps. Again, the trade across, the motion across, causes some confusion. It gets some natural rubs in there. 36 down at the bottom here looks lost. But you see the separation that Waddle has. Easy throw and catch, big first down. What the Dolphins do really maximizes the talent that they have. They have these fast guys that can run, and they do a good job of using them and using that speed to get open in space. Skip this play here. All right, we're down the goal line now. Ravens are going to play pretty much man down here. All right, 3-by-1. They got a little rub here, so they cause some confusion. on Gesicki here. Okay, so they're trying to create a little rub. So the concept's going to look like this. He's going to drag underneath. This running back is going to rub right off of Gesicki's hip into the end zone. 85 here is running what we call reverse whip or a whirl, where he's going to show like he's running an out, and he's just going to loop right back underneath. So if the running back doesn't get the ball here, you're going to see 85 come right back underneath, right into that same exact spot. So Tua is essentially looking in this area right here to make that throw. Again, natural rub with the running back. They got 85 coming on a whirl route, reverse whip route. Okay, and then the back guys here, the outside guys, are just going to run the end line here and here. That's the concept of what the Dolphins are looking for. Now, you're going to see Tua misses two pretty easy. I don't want to say any throw in the NFL is easy, but two throws that he should be able to hit. One to the running back. Okay, so when Gesicki comes underneath, he takes two guys with him. No one's really watching this running back, but this DB here, sorry, I'm still in my arrow. This DB here is supposed to have Gesicki one-on-one. He doesn't pass him off. He could pass him off here in this situation. He has help underneath. You could pass him off. When he doesn't pass him off, there's no one for this running back. 31 is wide open. It's an easy little dump off here by Tua for a touchdown. And again, this space is voided again. He runs the whirl route, 85. He's coming back across. Either of these throws here would have been a touchdown. Tua doesn't see it in time, doesn't trust it. Scramble rules, does a nice job of spinning out. Now watch 85 here. Gets his eyes across, okay? Immediately knows scramble rules, gets his eyes across and identifies where the open space is. If Tua's going to roll left, he needs to get into Tua's view. So all he's going to do is work right down this line. Keep messing up my tools. Right down this line. Okay, stay flat. And you're going to see how he works himself open for an easy touchdown. Okay, so Tua misses two throws, still able to spin out, be an athlete. 85 does a nice job with the scramble rules, still able to make a play, still able to get into the end zone. Okay, next play here. It's kind of a cover two look. Okay, it could be a combination coverage. They might have two up top, cover two up top, cover four down here at the bottom. However, with this tight formation, 2x2 tight, one thing that I want to point out here is something we call mandatory outside release. So whenever you have this, we'll call it a cover two because I think it is cover two up top. The goal here, okay, this DB, the corner, is supposed to play the flat. This safety is over the top and a half. Okay, he has half of the field. So because this DB right here, this corner is supposed to be into the flat, the outside receiver here is going to run something we call a mandatory outside release. All right, and the concept here is a stick concept. So he needs to outside release this because here he's going to run a stick. So it could go inside, could also go outside. He has kind of a two-way go here to work this void. Down here, it's kind of the same concept. So he has an out. He could kind of run an out. He could kind of stop. It's kind of a feel it type route. But this is essentially stick is what they're running. Now, with that outside release up top that we just talked about, look how Waddle just sprints to the sideline. Whenever he does that, it widens out that corner. Tua has Gesicki on the stick route wide open. All he has to do is dump it off, easy throw and catch, easy first down. Now, he picks the bottom of the screen because of how far Peters is off. He knows he has the out, stick down here. Really easy concept to win on. Again, it's a 2nd and 3. Very easy concept given that defense. But again, that mandatory outside release frees up Gesicki on the inside there. Just wanted to highlight that. Next play, we got slants. Guys are pretty far off. Looks like cover 3 to me. Could be man too. Variation. It's hard to tell just because of how fast the play goes. So, depending on what this concept is, if they're running slants here, the idea is for this guy to work a little more skinny to his inside hip. When it does that, it keeps him high. It doesn't let him bite down. It also, if he would come and stay flat, he's going to run this slant right into this middle linebacker here. So when he stays skinny, okay, right off this inside hip, it allows the outside guy to stay flat because it basically takes this DB out of the equation. So the guy on the outside can now work flat, or he could work at the angle he needs to win on the outside. Some teams will call this inside slant a lookie, and he's basically just trying to clear the inside guy of that DB. Now, what happens here is he runs it with so much speed, and it's supposed to be run with speed because, again, you're trying to keep that guy there to make this outside throw, which I thought is where Tua should have went. However, when he sees that ball is getting thrown to him, when he gets his eyes back to the quarterback, and you see how he does right away. When he gets his eyes back to the quarterback, ideally he could gear it down just a little bit. And Tua's throwing it behind him on purpose to help him avoid that collision. But because he runs it with so much speed, he's out of control. He's not able to make that catch. And again, it's kind of a challenging thing because you're trying to hold this guy high so the outside guy can win. But when Tua does identify him, gear it down, make that catch. Going to run a slant concept again. Cover 3. Put this man in motion. I love this. Putting him in motion right out to the flat. Okay, this is the flat defender here. So he's going to work down. There's going to be a window right in behind. But he understands he's working to that window. Nice throw by Tua. End of the day, you got to make this catch. He doesn't jump. Yeah, I think that weird spot for him, right around that chest level. We've seen him 3 different times kind of mess around with this catch. Like he's a little unsure of himself. It's typically on those inside routes, combat catches. This is a big play here. Tip ball is usually a pick ball. Ravens don't capitalize. Again, we've seen a couple plays that if the Ravens just make one of those plays, it could have changed the game and preserved a win for them. We saw it on Gesicki's touchdown earlier in the tape. Seeing it here on this drop pick. All right, so here we go. On to the next play. It always seems like missed opportunities lead to something like this. So previous play, Ravens dropped that interception. Dolphins come right back. They have a 3-by-1 formation here. And it looks like the Ravens are playing cover 3. So sometimes the Ravens will do something we call match this. And basically in match, they'll give a rip or Liz call. So cover 3 match, cover 3 rip Liz, whatever the terminology the team may use. And all that means is the right side safety or the left side safety would come down. So zone match, rip, the right safety is coming down. Liz, the left safety is coming down. And essentially, the point of it is to match the route. If the wide receivers, the Dolphins wide receiver would go vertical, basically that safety would be responsible for him going vertical. It almost turns into like sort of man coverage in that situation, and they use it to help protect against 4 verticals. Okay, so in this situation here, I don't know if that is what the Ravens called here, because I could see the safety coming down, and it looks like he's going to carry number 2 vertical. However, he knows that number 3 is not going vertical. Okay, so in that situation, he could kind of see, all right, we're not going to have 4 verticals. All right, so he could carry that number 2, and you're going to see the safety comes off of number 2. All right, and this is the safety real quick. We'll highlight them. This is the safety I'm talking about right here. Okay, as you could see, he comes off of number 2, off of that Jaylen Waddle there running down the seam. And when he does that, he sees Gesicki leaking out into the flat, so he is going to jump off of number 2 and come down to number 3 to help defend that. Okay, they got a pretty good distance to go here. It's 3rd and 10. So he's planning to just come up and rally and make that tackle. Now, when he passes off number 2, you see Hamilton, the middle safety here, the rookie, you see his eyes looking right at number 2. So it's almost like the top safety, the right safety for the Ravens, is passing it off to the left safety, who is Hamilton. Okay, and the only reason I'm calling that out is because I'm looking at Hamilton's eyes. See how they go across the formation. Here's Hamilton down here. See his eyes across the formation, okay, looking for something to come back across to his side. Now, when that happens, okay, and again, I'm thinking this is cover 3. I'm thinking that they were playing some sort of match here. When that happens, this backside corner here, Peters down at the bottom, this backside corner is pretty much just locked in on man coverage. All right, so he pretty much has Tyreek Hill here. Not pretty much, he does have Tyreek Hill here one-on-one. And again, I'm looking at the player's eyes. We have this corner up here. His eyes are back to the quarterback. He's in more of a zone turn, if you want to call it like that. The corner up top, more of a zone turn, eyes back to the quarterback. Okay, this safety here that we already talked about, I'm looking at Hamilton's eyes across the formation. If you look at Peters, all right, he's staring down Tyreek Hill. So that pretty much tells me that he has him man. Like I mentioned, the backside corner is going to have man in this situation. Okay, so let's go back to the beginning here. And you're going to see why that's so important. So Tua understands this. All right, he sees Hamilton shift to the middle of the field, and the Dolphins are just running a high-low. They're trying to get a high-low route on the middle safety. So this guy here, Waddle, is working underneath like a deep over, and Hill is working a deep post. All right, and the point of that is to stress this middle safety. Okay, if that middle safety bites down on the Waddle over here, then he's going to take the top off, Hill is going to take the top off, and Tua is going to throw that deep post. If Hamilton would turn and run with that post, okay, then he's going to have Waddle kind of leaking open here on this deep cross, probably hit him right around this area, okay, down by the numbers, pretty deep, 30, maybe even a 25-yard line. It's a pretty deep throw on that over. But that's kind of what Tua is looking for. Now, when Tua comes out and he sees Hamilton roll and he sees his eyes are back across the formation, he knows he's going to have one-on-one here with Hill. Give me the Hill on Marcus Peters matchup any day of the week, just based off of that speed. Okay, and it's an easy touchdown for the Dolphins because of that. I hope that makes sense. I'm not trying to confuse anyone. I'm just trying to explain what I think the Ravens are probably thinking in this situation. Again, I could see the safety coming down. There's a zone blitz here, so they're blitzing these two guys here. Okay, so I'm just thinking what they're trying to accomplish, okay, with this defense. And again, it kind of leaves Peters out here on an island, one-on-one with Tyreek Hill. And obviously, Dolphins take advantage of it. So let's talk about Hill's route here. One thing that I really like that he does, we mentioned it earlier in this video, how it's really important to stem your route. You're not just going to run straight ahead. It's important to stem your route and work the leverage that you have. So let's just say Peters is one-on-one here. Okay, you could see he's slightly outside of Hill. All right, he's playing outside technique here. And again, if it would be normal cover 3, okay, because Hill is so tight to the formation, if it was normal cover 3, Peters would be able to just funnel this right to the middle safety as help in the middle of the field. That's why he's playing that outside technique, if it would be normal cover 3. Okay, if it would be cover 1, it's kind of the same situation. He could play outside leverage and funnel it to that middle safety. Again, it's sometimes hard to see exactly what the coverage is, but nonetheless, talking about Hill's route here, he stems to Peters, so he knows that he can win inside here. So all he's going to do is stem outside, and you're going to see how he'll just lean. Okay, his route starts pretty heavy inside the numbers. Look at him leaning. He's getting closer to the top of the numbers here. And then he puts that right foot in the ground. Peters is probably in his back pedal too. Not probably. He's definitely in his back pedal too long here. But you see he just widened Peters out. Foot in the ground. And he's gone. He has him beat already. And you see the speed, how the speed causes so many issues here. Again, it's just one of those situations where Dolphins kind of knew exactly what the Ravens were going to be in here. They knew that they had Hill one-on-one. See Tua's eyes. I'm looking at Tua's eyes. As he moves the pocket, he knows right away he has that one-on-one matchup. Okay, on to the next play. A little long-winded there with that last play, but I think it's important that you guys see that coverage and understand where that breakdown happened. We're right on to the next play, and again, this is what I talked about earlier in the video. Okay, this is what we talked about. So you're going to see Gesicki comes across here to make this a 3-by-1. Okay, I don't know if he shifted on this. I don't have the earlier cut up, but we see all the Ravens with their arms up. Okay, all the DBs with their arms up. They're signaling something. Okay, let's talk about it. 1, 2, 3, 4. I count 5 guys that are putting their arms up. They're trying to check to something. 5 up top, this corner here, does not get that check. Now, I wish I could tell you what they were checking to in this 3-by-1. I want to say that it was some sort of cover 2 or cover 4. It could be a combo, maybe 4 down here, 2 up top. But to get to cover 2 up top, they need a safety to get back to cover this half of the field. Now, you can disguise this. Okay, you can disguise this. If they may have got caught disguising. Okay, I'm looking for excuses for the Ravens here. But one of these guys here, 1 or 2, would essentially have to get back to this half of the field. This safety is going to be here. Peters is here. And this guy up top would have the flat. So in this scenario, we have 4 here to the field. We have cover 2 into the boundary side. Okay, that is what I'm picturing the Ravens were supposed to get to in this situation. However, no one gets back to this half of the field. The corner up top doesn't get the check, so he just stays in the flat, and it's stealing. Again, if it is a cover 2 up top, there's miscommunication here with these 2 guys. One of these 2 guys here, okay, Hamilton, or 32, I think his number was. One of those guys is supposed to get to half the field. All right, he's supposed to get over into this space here. And this corner would have down in the flat. All right. Again, the corner doesn't get that check. Not really sure what they're doing. But they just left all-pro wide receiver Tyreek Hill wide open down the sideline for the easiest touchdown you'll see this season. All right, here we go. One of the last drives of the game. Okay, you're going to see the Dolphins working with some urgency here. Just looking for something quick. Run a little quick out, trying to get him to the sideline, preserve some clock, get a couple free yards. Go and hurry up. Ravens will play a pretty good amount of man here at the end of the game. Here's stealing. Some teams will call this a pivot. So we have, I got to get better with my tools today. Little out or a whip. This guy's going to run a slant or a dig right behind it. And Tua's pretty much just reading these two overhang guys down here, or up top to the top of the screen. So the guy in the slot holds both of them. Tua has Hill wide open on that little dig. Really easy concept. Again, end of the game. Touchdown wins it. Way too relaxed the Ravens are playing here. They are playing man number 5. Way too relaxed in his coverage. Not aggressive enough. Tua reads it. Easy throw and catch. Big first down for them. Going 2-by-2 again. You're going to see some double coverage down on Hill now. Doesn't work. Just a little slant. He does a pretty good job here staying flat. Bottom of the screen, just working flat across. Tua makes a nice throw to lead him. Ravens missing a bunch of tackles, but Hill does a really nice job there. 9-10 yard gain, trying to get to the sideline. Must have been a penalty, or maybe I missed a play here. All right, so end of the game. We got man coverage. Looks like they're trying to bracket Hill down here. Okay, so we got safety working on the inside of Hill. Peters will be more on the outside. You'll see how he just lets Hill go to the inside because he knows he's going to have help there. And I love this concept up top. So let's talk about it a little bit. They are going man. It's a 3-by-1 formation for the Dolphins. Waddle's in the slot. So they're working off of these two guys at the top. Okay. Now, sometimes when they run these rubs in man, especially down the goal line, they're working some sort of rub, okay, off of these two defenders on the outside. Sometimes the defenders here, 1, 2, will switch. Okay, now whenever they do switch like that, this outside guy essentially has Waddle man. This inside guy would have the number 1 man. Okay? And the Dolphins are just going to run a rub and then a little whirl back inside. And the idea is they're working with their leverage. So they have leverage here that if this guy on the outside would switch to cover Waddle, he's now outside of him, and Waddle would work right back across on that reverse whip or whirl route. They don't switch it. But what happens is number 5, again, he's kind of been the main culprit here on these last couple drives. He over pursues on Waddle. He gets too far ahead of him. And now Waddle has that inside leverage to run that reverse whip. And there's your ball game. Again, just a little nuance in what Mike McDaniel does with the Dolphins. Such a creative guy. And he understands that. He's running this assuming that the Ravens would switch. Okay, and Tua's kind of reading it. If Waddle gets the rub on the outside corner here, then he's going to have the outside receiver working wide open on a slant. However, he doesn't have that. So now Waddle's designed to get his foot in the ground and bring it right back in. Okay, and that's that reverse whip that we talked about earlier. We'll draw it here. So he's running a slant. He has the rub right back underneath, trailing that slant. Touchdown. Dolphins get the win. Again, unbelievable comeback. I hope this breakdown really helped you guys. We talked about a couple different things that I think are really important for receivers to understand, quarterbacks that might be listening in, some things that are really important for you guys to understand. And you'll see, again, when we're talking about the best of the best, okay, the NFL guys, best of the best, Ravens defense, can still have mental lapses as well. It happens in every level of football. It's a really tough sport to play. There's so many different ways to take advantage of certain coverages. There's so many ways to cover certain formations and route concepts. But it's still very challenging. Okay, as you could see, it's still very challenging. Every video that we talk about, a lot of the big plays happen because someone had a mental lapse, someone had a lapse in their technique. Okay, it's very rarely just, one guy's better than the other. And that is the case at times. However, it's such an evenly matched league. Anyone could beat anyone on any given Sunday. These guys are all very good players, all very talented players, but the mental lapses still happen. Okay, and there's coaches out there, Mike McDaniel with the Dolphins, and the Dolphins, in my opinion, have turned it around, how I mentioned earlier, because of having Gesicki, Waddle, Hill, completely revamped Tua. But Mike McDaniel is the perfect coach for these guys, an offensive mastermind that is going to get these guys in position, use their strengths, okay, to maximize what the Dolphins are going to do. All right, that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed this breakdown.